The Packers took Rodgers. We know that back in 2005. Here we are 17 years later, and they need a receiver. Brian Gutekunst, the GM of the Packers, talking to reporters today, mentioning that the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, will be heavily involved in developing the receivers they bring in. Here's Gutekunst from today taking questions on the topic of Rodgers' involvement in what they're going to do next at receiver.
Given the dynamic at receiver, the fact there isn't a clear leader, an established guy in that room that's done it in this offense, do you need Aaron to be more involved in the offseason program than he's been in the
I would push back a little bit. I mean, obviously, Randall's been very established in this offense, and he's been around with Aaron for a long time. Certainly Allen's been here for a few years now too. So we've got some guys that are established, and Sammy's he hasn't been here, but he's been in the league for a long time. But Aaron's going to be heavily involved in the development of not only the players that are in our building right now, but certainly whoever we bring in.
If you listen closely to the question, the reference was made to the offseason program. Reportedly, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be there for the offseason program other than mandatory minicamp. And that's the concern that we raised when the report first emerged, that he wouldn't be there for the voluntary phase of the offseason program. Shireen, how do you get these new receivers up to speed? And okay, fine, Randall Cobb can take leadership, but come on, he's not your number one receiver. Allen Lazard, I think, still hasn't signed his restricted free agency tender. I could be wrong. That's wouldn't be the first time this hour. So there's some presumptions being made there. They need a number one receiver. Sammy Watkins is not a number one receiver. A 1-year, $4 million contract does not scream out number one receiver. They are desperate to get somebody in there to be that number one guy. And they need Aaron Rodgers, not just to be willing to develop, Shireen. They should be leaning on Rodgers to help them select. Give him ownership of who they take. Get him to buy in. Make him feel like he wants to take this guy under his wing to prove that when he gave his input that this should be the guy, that it really was the right guy. And that would be smart. And that's the kind of stuff he wants to do. So if things have been so weird and so dysfunctional with the Packers, I definitely don't believe anything that is said by anyone about the relationship with Aaron Rodgers, because who the hell knows? But they would be wise if they got him involved and got him interested in making the most out of whoever it is they pick. And they have to come out of the first 2 rounds of the draft with a receiver that they think can be the number one guy right away.
And maybe more than one, Mike, considering when you look at their depth chart, you named all those guys, and I'll throw Amari Rodgers in there, but that's not a very good group of receivers. And frankly, there's no guarantees. You talked about Sammy Watkins not being a number one receiver. There's no guarantees he even makes that roster. I mean, he's been injury prone over the last few years and hasn't even been a 2 or a 3 receiver for the teams he's played for in the last couple of years. So they need some help there at that position. They have a lot of picks to do it, 22, 28, 53, 59. The problem for them is those top 4 receivers. We all talk about those 4 names that are there. They could all be gone by 22. So that might be something where the Packers are going to have to trade up to get the guy they want, identify. And I'm with you, Mike. You should consult with Aaron Rodgers. What do you think of these guys? And they should have already done it. What do you think of these guys? Watch them on film, see what you think. I would have had him go and throw to these guys, throw to all 4 of these top receivers and identify which one he likes the most and have him watch some films and help him feel like he's part of the process. Last year, he wanted Randall Cobb. They went out and made that move. This year, they should have heavily involved him in the draft process. And then, Mike, if it doesn't work out, hey, you help choose the guy. You can't put it all on us that it was our failure to get you a number one receiver. You help choose the guy.
And be ready to move, willing to move, and able to move. You're at 22. You've got the Chiefs with 2 first-round picks who are looking for a receiver, obviously, after the Tyreek Hill trade. Be ready to make that move. And I wonder how scarred they are from 2 years ago when they were thinking Justin Jefferson would fall to them, didn't get him. Wanted Brandon Ayuk, got jumped by the 49ers in a trade down with the Colts, and the 49ers cut the line and took Ayuk. Not that Ayuk's become a superstar, but that's who they wanted. And then plan C is draft a quarterback and all hell breaks loose. So I'd like to think that they're going to be smart enough to know that they have to use that draft capital that they acquired in the trade that sent Devontae Adams to the Raiders to go get a guy if there's a guy they really like. And they better hope they're right. You know, Shireen, we can talk at length, and we have, about the reality that there are plenty of great receivers that come into the draft every year, but it's not like the success rate is 100%. For every Deebo Samuel, there's an N'Keal Harry. For every Justin Jefferson, there's a Jalen Reagor. And sometimes those guys get picked before the star player. So you never really know what a guy's going to become. Last year, it worked out well for the guys who went in the top 10, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, and Devontae Smith. But we can't just assume that all these guys are going to be great. There's a lot of eggs to put in the basket if you're the Packers or the Chiefs this year.
Yeah, no question about that, Mike. And the last time that the Packers used a first-round draft pick on a receiver, that was Javon Walker, 20th overall in 2002, a long time ago. And he's the only wideout that the team has drafted in the first round in the last 33 years. Sterling Sharp was the guy before Javon Walker. So it's time that they use a first-round draft pick on a receiver. And you're right, Mike, it better be the right one, because every year we see those failures of some of these guys. They don't all come right in and step in and become the Justin Jefferson or whoever it is that we've seen over the last few years. But they are more ready to play than they used to be, and that's the good news for the Packers. They can find a number one receiver in this draft, but they've got to be ready to move up if that's what it takes to get the guy they want.
I remember when Javon Walker wanted a new contract and Brett Favre got himself in the middle of that and made some comment about you got to be conscious of who throws you the football or something. It's like, Brett, you're crossing a line there. I'll never forget that. But Walker eventually got his contract, but not from the Green Bay Packers. The Houston Texans have a third-round draft pick from last year in Davis Mills, who became the starting quarterback. He's the guy they have.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.